Oo.
Good morning
At
po.
can you see already in your screen?
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po.
Okay, sige. Okay. So, let me start my session with you with the definition of what copy editing and headline writing is all about. It's on your screen that it is truly a critical process, no? So that we can produce an engaging and impactful written content, no? Which is necessary indeed for one to be engaged in reading the story. So it's particularly for journalism, publishing, and other forms of professional writing. And each one of these will play a vital role in ensuring that final products are not only accurate but also captivating for our readers. We are competing with so many things, not only those that can be seen, but also those that can be heard. No? And if what is before the reader is not engaging, is not enticing for him or her to read, then chances are they will just leave the article or the material to be read. And so there's a need for us to make extra effort for our stories to be very engaging and worthwhile. So yun yung unang-una nating isaalang-alang kung tayo po ay mag-edit ng mga stories ng ating those who have submitted their articles to us. So, copy editing is actually the process of reviewing and correcting written materials to improve, particularly on the accuracy of the data shared with the reader, but also its readability. Kaya bang basahin ng mga readers natin, or are they able to understand or get a gist or the essence of what is written, and then the flow. It also matters that when one reads the story, he or she will be encouraged to carry on reading the material. Otherwise, mako-confuse siya. Hindi na niya alam kung ano yung understanding niya sa material, because of the tendency of the writer to have half skip, or there's no smooth flow of the material that he or she is reading. So copy editing actually is involving the checking of the grammar. We have to understand that when we are writers, we have to be very careful in grammar. If we are to be copy editing, we have to be very good at grammar as well, no? Better than the writer sometimes, no? Kasi yun yung trabaho ng copy editor, no? And we have to make sure that the spelling as well is very good, no? And correct. We have naman dictionaries, no? To consult kung yung spelling natin ay tama. We don't have to bring along dictionary, yung hard copy, but we can access the dictionary in our cell phones. Lahat naman siguro may cellphone. And we have to ensure that our cell phones are equipped with dictionary. And then the punctuation mark. It's really a no-no for a writer not to be able to know when punctuation marks should be used. What kind of punctuation mark? Is it period? Is it comma? Is it question mark? Exclamation point? Colon or semicolon? And as well, yung syntax. The syntax of the sentences of our story. And the factualness and the correctness of the story we are sharing to our public, to our readers. Otherwise, if we miss on the factual correctness of our stories, chances are our readers will tend to shy away from our articles. So it's very critical for a copy editor or copy reader to be very careful in the facts mentioned in the article, we are copy editing or copy reading. We don't have to blame the writer, no? Kaya nga nandyan tayo as copy editor or copy reader para sa ganun ay i-correct natin. That's our main function. We cannot reckon with the writer dahil tayo naman yung nabigyan ng trabaho na i-check yung kanyang output ready for publication or ready for either print or broadcast or television ang paggagamitan ng mga stories. And it should also be noteworthy that it should also include making suggestions, no, in how to improve on clarity. We can make a footnote or some notations in the article for the writer, the original writer, to further improve on how stories are written, no? Not only on improving whatever, but also on the clarity, the coherence, and the consistency of the data we are supposed to include in the story. So that's very critical, no, for us copy editors, ang ating mga advisors, and there might also be students who are listening to our lectures now, and so we have to be very emphatic about all of these requirements for a story to become very readable and kaaya-ayang basahin ng mga readers. And then the goals of copy editing would be so many, you know. There should be clarity, as we always have to emphasize, no? Ensuring that the text is easy to understand and free of ambiguity. No? Yung maraming mga meanings, no? And if that is the case, we have to be explaining as well, ano, kung ano yung term na ginamit natin, kasi ambiguous terms will tend to shoo away our readers kasi hindi nila naiintindihan what do we mean by the terms we use. So the ambiguity should be avoided. Sabihin natin kung ano yung term na yun, if we have to explain it or make mga substitute, no? Even in the story that was written, we can already clarify, no, what is that ambiguous term so that the reader will not anymore be imagining kung ano yung kanyang binabasa. And then one has to be very correct, no? Ensuring proper grammar, as we have mentioned earlier, the punctuation mark, no? We should be very careful. As writers, we have to be very knowledgeable about this. Otherwise, we don't have any right, no, to be copy editing a story or much less writing a story if we do not even have the knowledge, the proper knowledge of grammar, punctuation, and even spelling. Hindi naman sana problema yung spelling because, as I have said, the dictionary can just be at the palm of our hands, no? And then the adherence to style guides. Ito ay minimension natin dahil it is expected of us that our publication should have its own style guide. Like, for instance, the spelling of some words sometimes would vary if our language is American English or English English. So as not to confuse our readers na, ay kanina bakit ganito ang spelling? Tapos in the next line, iba na naman ang spelling. So as iisipin ng readers natin, ano nga ba ang spelling? So we have to be consistent whether we use the American English or the English English. Magkakaiba yung gamit ng S and Z can also differ kung ano man yung English na ginagamit natin. And then we have to be very concise, no? Eliminating unnecessary words or sentences without sacrificing meaning. So, if our sentences would appear like very long or our paragraphs are very long, we can always come up with shorter sentences or words or phrases that can be made into one word lang instead of using yung multiple words, if only to express what we want to write in our story. Conciseness is very important because our readers have limited time to read. They don't have the luxury of time reading materials. Our aim is to inform the public and making it easy for them to understand what they are reading is already achieved if that is done. We should also be considerate of the time within which the reader is reading our stories, the stories of the writers whose material we are now copying.
Total assess ko na. Siguro ka, lay babamban. Diyan ko dati si total enrollment tayo. Bossy detoy. Bossy, 210. Nga pa dati makar nga. Dati makar nga. Hindi ko lang mga dati makar.
Dati makar is una.
Ma'am, nakamute po.
So 210
Ma'am, nakamute po.
tapos minus 3 so 127. Tapos yung 144.
Ma'am, nakamute po.
Sino?
Ni Kanta.
Ma'am, nakamute po. Ma'am, nakamute po.
Tapos Jai, 157.
Ma'am, nakamute. Ma'am, nakamute. Nakamute. Ma'am, nakamute ba? Nakamute po. Hello, guys. Guys, relax kayo. May tumutulong naman si kay Mama Purita John. Thank you, thank you. Ayan. Ma'am, hello, you're back.
May nag-mute yata. Hindi naman napansin at ngayon, buti at nasabi ninyo ngayon, before we have gone very far with the lecture, na hindi pala naririnig. I'm sorry about that. From the very beginning ba, mute? Na-mute ba from the very beginning? Should I start?
Hindi naman. Hindi naman po.
Okay, so we can proceed with accuracy already. Hello? Accuracy na tayo or what?
Yes po. Yes po.
Okay, so also another goal of copy editing is the accuracy. We cannot sacrifice accuracy in our stories. No one will believe in us as writers or copy editors kung hindi accurate yung ating pinapublish or sinashare sa public by way of our writings. We should be very careful about fact-checking. Not only the names, the dates and places, and statistical data to ensure that they are correct. Ang hirap kaya na mawalan ka ng readers simply because of your inaccuracy in the stories that you are writing or your copy editing. It is incumbent upon the copy editor to ensure that facts are accurate. Kaya naririnig nyo na? Hello? Naririnig nyo na?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po.
Hindi po.
Participants yung nag-open ng microphone. Thank you po.
Okay. So, ang sinasabi natin ay it's very important that our stories are accurate. The copy editor should always ensure that if the writer of the story did not exert effort to be accurate, it is incumbent upon the copy editor or the copy reader to ensure the accuracy of the data or the facts mentioned in the story. Especially with the names, no? You can even be libeled. Kakasuhan ka dahil iba yung pangalan na nilagay or the date is not accurate, no? Especially with referring to dates and the day, ano?
May kapan may sa grade 8.
Grade? Ayun, may isa? 3 levels mo lang. Ay, Surah mo 51.
And the year mentioned in the story should always be accurate. And how does the copy editor do that?
Pwede grade 10.
Mag-research siya, no? If he feels or he or she feels that there's something wrong with the name and even the spelling or the date and the place where the incident happened, it is incumbent upon the copy editor to research, no? What is it that should be the correct information. And as well, yung statistical data, there's a tendency kasi kung minsan to exaggerate on figures. No? And it's a no-no in news writing or whatever writings that we have, because it will reflect not only the accuracy but also yung credibility ng writer dahil nag-exaggerate siya or whatever the reason for exaggerating, medyo tingnan natin yun because it's affecting our credibility. Okay, so let's proceed on. No? We also have to correct our grammar. Alam niyo ang isang napakasamang mangyari sa isang reader, yung mababasa niya ang article o yung istorya na grammatically wrong. We have to bear in mind that we are not only sharing the information, but we are also doing our best to teach our readers proper grammar, proper punctuation, and proper spelling. That's added bonus for them, to be able to learn not only the information but also how things are written. So they owe it on us. Babasahin nila yung mga articles natin sa mga susunod na articles natin because they know they are learning much from what they are reading from the stories that you have written or copy-read, ensuring that the language that we use, is it Filipino or is it English, it should always be error-free. Kung hindi tayo sigurado, then we consult the resource materials. Huwag nating hayaan na, ayan naman yung sinulat ng writer. Kaya anong silbi mo na copy editor? Kaya nga nandyan ka, na atasan ka para gawin ang kailangan para maging kaaya-ayang basahin ang isang article. And then ensuring consistency in style. Huwag nating bagu-baguhin yung style ng writing natin, no? If our style is Associated Press na style, I think you're already very conscious about the types of writings that the news agencies or wire agencies are using, no? Yung Associated Press, United Press Institute, no? Reuters, and so on. They have different styles. No? If we use one style, yun at yun na lang. Huwag ninyong bagu-baguhin kasi mapoconfuse din yung readers natin. And later on, we can come up with our own style, no? Depending on the style guide that we are having in our publication. No? And also, I mentioned that we can have our own in-house guides to keep the documents tone and style consistent. Huwag natin baguhin kasi alam ninyo mga readers can be very sensitive about all of these things. And if they find it confusing in ating istorya, they will not attempt to continue on reading our newspaper or our publication dahil hindi natin sila tinutulungan na maging kaaya-aya at easy reading yung ating materials. And then the next task of the copy editor is improving the readability, no, of the materials that are before us to copy edit or copy read. Breaking up long sentences. No? Our tendency at times is we come up with mga sentences that are complex. May mga compound sentences that will tend to confuse the readers. No? Kailangan easy reading lang. No? Kasi we have to bear in mind our task is to inform and not to impress at all our readers. No? So simplifying complex phrasing, no? Kung kailangan i-simplify natin yun, or just make use of one word instead of so many words in our sentences, because as I have mentioned, easy reading is a come-on for our readers to read our stories. And then we have to ensure that the flow of our stories are smooth, no? Na hindi na yung sabi nila na mesikado na nag-i-stumble yung mga readers in reading our stories, dahil the flow of our story is very confusing. And so tayo ng mga copy editors will have to ensure that what is written can be also understood. Ikaw na copy editor, ikaw na nagbasa, you feel like okay lang, no? Yung pagkasulat, then that will also be the kind of impression that your readers will get. And then you have to be trimming unnecessary content. Our tendency at times is to lump so many issues, so many information in our stories. Kung ano lang yung importante sa story, yun lang. Kung meron ka mang naidagdag na parang added information, let it be just one sentence. Hindi yung dinadamihan mo, so as to confuse our readers and say, ano nga bang issue nito? Bakit ang dami-dami? Or we can come up with subtitles, no? Or sub-topics. Pwede mong lagyan ng subtopics na lang. But for a story to be very simple, kung ano lang yung main issue should be the one that appears in the story. So, and we also have to be very careful that we remove redundant words or redundant terms. Yung tendency to be repeating words, no? We can use other terms, no? So as not to tell to make the impression on the reader na para kang walang alam na ibang word at inuulit-ulit mo, at ang nangyayari tuloy ay parang ginawa ko siyang walang alam, or you are belittling his mental capability. So avoid repetitive terms or irrelevant details which are not important or necessary in the story anymore. No? Have that irrelevant detail proceed in another story or in the next paragraphs or in the next sub-topic, para sa ganun ay hindi maihalo doon sa main issue ng istorya. And then, the copy editor should also be concerned about formatting. Checking formatting consistency is in headings. No? What is it that the story is saying based on the title or the headline or the subheadlines? And yung mga formatting natin sa listing din. If we have to enumerate, if we have to cite, then be very careful on how to write citations, or those that you have to compare or you have to attribute to the person or your source of information. Let's not be very stingy or pinagdadamot natin yung pag-mention sa pangalan ng tao na ating pinagkuhanan ng information. And then, the next thing that the copy editor will have to emphasize on or to highlight on sa kanyang trabaho ay eliminating bias. In fact, a story, lalo na kung news story, straight information lang. There's no need for your opinion. Unless you are writing an editorial, no? Or a feature at times, when you have to be very elaborate about adjectives, no, and so on. But in a news story, we ensure that we are neutral and objective in our language. We have to be very careful as not to paint the picture, no? Na hindi na, baka mamaya malibel pa nga tayo kung meron mga ganong instances sa ating mga stories. So, we should be straightforward, no opinions, no? If we have to be opinionated, kailangan may quotation marks, no? We have to quote the entire sentence na sinabi ng source of information, but not for us to put in a word that is not mentioned or make a flowery word, no? Para bang akala mo ma-please yung yung source of information mo by putting in mga opinions sa kanyang sinabi. That's a no-no, especially for a news story. No? We're talking of journalism here, no? Or something that is academic in our writing. We have to be very careful about that. Okay? So, okay. So, after mentioning all of those things, as preliminaries to our copy editing na subject matter, kailangan nating malaman kung ano yung mga symbols na ginagamit natin in copy editing or copy reading. So, ito yung importante, but we have to know yung mga basics din na na-mention earlier. So, the first symbol is the 3 lines underneath, no? The letter that should be capitalized, no? The 3 lines, no? Which indicate that the letter should be in capital letter. So, that's number 1 symbol in copy editing or copy reading. Okay. And then the next symbol is the oblique or the slant line. If it's drawn across a letter which is capitalized, no, kailangan ilagay yung oblique na line or slant para indicate na yung S dito ay small letter. It's only used when it's a proper noun, or you're mentioning the full name of the school. But if you're referring to just school, then oblique line or slant line is indicating that the letter S here is to be in small letter. Okay, the next symbol is the circle mark. Yung circle mark, a number is spelled out, and yet it should be in figure. Alam natin yung rule, no, in writing numerals or yung figures. The 11 here is beyond 10, and our rule is 1 to 10 should be in words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It should be spelled out. Pero yung 11 kasi ay beyond 10, so it should be in figure. So yung circle mark is figure. And then the next symbol, pareho pa rin, no, circle mark, indicates that sabi ninyo, bakit 11 ngayon i-spell out mo? Because this is the exception to the rule. The rule is 1 to 10 spelled out. So 11 is beyond 10. Kaya itong 11 appears at the beginning of the sentence. So you cannot write figure 11 at the start of the sentence. So it should be spelled out. Kaya siya na-encircle. So that should also be emphasized in our students, no, and our advisors, so that they will have something to remind our writers. And then the next symbol again is circle mark pa rin, no? When words are spelled out, and it can after all be abbreviated, encircle lang, no? You don't have to put ST, no? You just encircle to indicate that the saint there is can be abbreviated into ST period. Okay? And then the next meaning of the circle mark is yung kabaliktaran naman. Ano? If the word is abbreviated and it should be spelled out kasi baka mamaya magkaroon ng double impression or meaning yung yung abbreviate, we can have it encircled kasi lalo na kung ito ay nag-e-end ng sentence. So yung ST can be straight as well, di ba? So i-encircle to say that the ST there should be spelled out so as not to bring confusion in the readers. So those are the 4 meanings of the circle mark. Pero meron pang isa mamaya, pang 5th, no? Mamaya malalaman natin. And then the next symbol is the caret sign. Yung caret sign would indicate that something is missing. Whether it's a word that's missing or sets of words or even a sentence, yung caret sign should be placed where the missing word, groups of words or sentence should be inserted. No? So it's an insertion. No? And also the caret sign can also indicate that a letter is missing in the word. So, halimbawa, yung school ay walang C, i-insert mo yung C in between S and H. So, the caret sign should be placed in between S and H. Okay, that should be clear, no? Very clear sa ating dito sa ating presentation. So, this is the only symbol. If we have to emphasize, this is the only symbol that you need to incorporate the necessary missing words, letter, or letters. If you have noted yung mga ibang symbols natin, you don't have to write anything but the symbol lang. Pero ito, dahil you have to insert something, to indicate as well what is to be inserted. Kaya kailangan ilagay ang caret sign or the copy reading symbol or copy editing symbol and that which you want to be inserted in between doon sa na-miss out na letter, word, or groups of words or the sentence. Okay? And then, the transposition sign. The transposition sign is needed if the words have been jumbled or juggled, nagkabali-baliktad. So how do we do it? We write it in a manner that is exactly how the word should be arranged. Like itong sentence natin, Marcos Baguio sucks. Kailangan naman ganun ang presentation mo. Diba? So, kailangan Marcos Tax Baguio Police Chief. So, yung i-transpose natin ay yung SAC and Baguio for a clear understanding of the sentence that is written in the story. So, yung sa AP naman, magkakaiba kasi, is it in the next one tingnan nga natin. Yan. So, in AP or the Associated Press, but it should not anymore confuse us muna, no? But it's here kasi sa presentation. Sa AP or the Associated Press, nag-e-angle, no? Nagkakaroon ng parang box ang style. Hindi kagaya dun sa usual na ginagamit na curve lines lang. But let's not confuse ourselves now. Later on, when we will know that in dito sa ating sa ating level, gagamitin natin yung curve lines lang, hindi na yung nag-aanggulo o yung nagpa-box. If we will know later on in the national na AP yung judge, we will make the necessary reminders later on. At suffice to say that what we are normally using is the curve line. Okay? So the next symbol is Yan, yung delete sign. We cannot avoid using so many words, no? Or so many, or there's a mistake in the spelling that we want this letter or the word or words deleted. Yan po yung symbol. So just a straight line and then i-curve mo pataas. No? So be very careful that the delete sign is not just horizontal line. Kailangang ilagay mo yung yan, yung parang loop. No? Why do we have to have the loop? So that to make the obvious apparent. Kasi kung line lang nilagay mo or horizontal line, baka hindi papansin. No? If our pencil is light, hindi nakikita yung ating correction. Okay, so marami tayong mga samples dyan na pwedeng pagbasehan natin. Okay, the next one. I hear some voice. May question? Hello. Somebody has opened yata yung kanyang audio, yung speaker para hindi ma-disrupt yung ating session. Be very careful not to open your microphone except when you are asking questions or clarifications. Okay? The next symbol is step. No? What does step mean? It means you disregard the correction as indicated and have the original retained. So ang example natin ay the slow learner students have to attend special classes. Yung copy editor inadvertently deleted yung slow learner. Ang slow learner is needed indeed, no, to modify yung student who are the students who should be attending special classes. O di ilagay na slow learner, not all will attend the special class or the special classes. So yung delete mo, you don't have to erase, no? You don't have to erase anymore yung horizontal line plus the loop dahil baka mamaya ma-erase mo yung original. So what you should be doing is write only the words there. Disregard the correction and retain the original. Okay? The next symbol is the number sign or the sharp sign or 30. No? If you use the sharp sign or the number sign, wag mo nang ilagay yung 30 kasi or na no? So isa lang ang gagamitin. Make sure that you remind our student writers or contestants na isa lang ang symbol na gagamitin. It could be the sharp sign or the number sign or the number na 30. Isa lang po ang gagamitin. So it's or, no? Either or, hindi dalawa. Okay, the next symbol. Yung curved lines sa taas at saka yung curved lines sa baba. So the two should go together because you are closing in, no? Itong sample natin yung breakthrough. The breakthrough is not two words but rather one word. So pag-joinin mo yun, no? To indicate that breakthrough is one word. So don't forget kasi merong paggagamitan yung curved line na isa lang, I think it's one of the symbols that we have to be presenting din naman. Okay, let's proceed. Yung next na symbol is the yung inverted caret sign. Kasi kanina ay di ba pataas yung yung point niya. Ngayon it's letter B. But the meaning is the same. You are inserting something. And normally what is inserted is the punctuation mark. Especially yung double quotation or single quotation or apostrophe. No? Yun yung paggagamitan ng B sign, which is the inverted caret sign. And it means inserting the surreptitiously or panakaw na nilagay mo yung period, because the one who is making the final copy of the story might think that the period there is to make it obvious na meron kang nilagay na period. Okay, so it's an X or a circle mark for the insertion of a period. Okay, so again in AP association kasi, no? It's either the X mark and encircle or period and encircle. But again, we're saying that so as not to confuse ourselves at this point, very usual symbol na X lang or circle mark. We don't have to play lang yung X or the okay. The next symbol is the angle sign. The angle sign is indicating that the sentence is to be set in new paragraph. Lalo na kung ang ating istorya ay news story. But at times this can also appear in feature stories or even in editorial materials or editorial natin, no? That we can set the sentence in another paragraph, no? But it all depends on how you appreciate, no, the sentence that is supposed to be set in a new paragraph. So yan po yung nakikita natin sa screen, no, na kailangan alam natin ang paggamit ng angle sign or the inverted peso sign or inverted P sign. Yung inverted P or peso sign ay may dalawang paa. No? Hindi kung inverted ay isang paa lang. Dalawa po ang ilalagay natin. So it should be very clear, no? Nakikita naman natin. So indenting the sentence to indicate that the sentence is to be set in new paragraph. Okay? So tatanungin ninyo, kailangan bang ilagay yung angle sign at saka yung inverted P sign or peso sign? Yes, if the sentence to be set in new paragraph is appearing at the middle of the line. O yan sa ating sa example natin. One line yung the door is open and then period, the meeting will be on Monday. Nasa isang line lang siya, yung dalawang sentences na yun. So, there's a need for us to put the inverted P or P sign dyan po sa ating margin. Why? Make it obvious. Kasi kung minsan, if I may have to very emphatic about it, yung ating pencil sometimes may not be very dark na nakikita ng mag-check ng evaluator. So, kailangan you make the correction obvious by making the inverted P or peso sign sa margin. So, you indicate it in the margin yung inverted P or peso sign. Okay? The next symbol is the transposition sign or run-in rather. Run-in. Kasi yung transposition sign ay nasabi na natin kanina. Ngayon is the run-in. So what's the use of the run-in? the run-in is used to indicate that whatever is ending the line should be continued to the next line. Lalo na kung meron kang dinelete, no, in between. Hindi mo pwedeng i-leave like that kasi magiging bungi yung line. No? So the run-in comes in handy for one who made a deletion or nag-remove siya or nag-delete siya ng word, ng sets of word na nagkaroon ng gap o nagkaroon ng space na hindi kailangang magkaroon ng space because it might appear that there's something wrong, no? O kaya there's something wrong in the sentence, bakit nagkaroon ng ganung space? They might think that something is missing when after all there's nothing that's missing, but you actually deleted something in between yan, yung mga words na yan. So, ito example natin ay he wrote the news and pictures, for instance, no? And then went home. So, ang nangyari ay nag-delete ka ng he wrote the news and pictures. Halimbawa, yun yung na-delete, no? Hindi kasi nailagay. Yung next after news ay and pictures. Dahil hindi naman siya nagsulat ng pictures, no? But only news. So, dinelete mo yung and pictures and went home. So, yun yung original na text ng istorya. But, because you have deleted, kailangang ilagay mo yung run-in to say that yung news should be followed by end. O nagkamali pa tayo ng paglagay dito sa sa line na to. Yung news sana after ng yung run-in should be before the word end. Kasi ang na-delete ay end features. So yung end dito is part of the words or the sentence that should be retained. So just be very careful na itong run-in should include yung end. If you realize yung correction doon. So the run-in ay mag-extend before the word end. We will make the necessary correction na lang later. Okay. So yung next symbol, it's just to make it make emphasis, no? Yung caret sign, yung inverted V at saka yung V. So the caret sign is made use of for comma, no? A punctuation mark ito kasi, no? Punctuation mark which appears at the lower portion ng line, no? So inverted V ang gagamitin. But for an apostrophe, it should be the V sign. Kasi yung apostrophe appears at the topmost. Yan, yung example. No? You, tapos, your dyan is a contraction of UR. Kasi gusto mong your lang. No? So yung apostrophe should be at the topmost. So ang ilalagay mong symbol ay yung yung V sign rather. You're a gold digger, sabi niya. Romina, you're a gold digger, Romina, said Daniela. Parang sounds familiar sa atin, This is one of the dialogues sa isang teleserye. But for an example lang, yan yung difference ng although it is a caret sign, yung pagkakasulat niya ay inverted V and the V sign, yan yung paggagamitan ng caret sign at saka ng inverted V sign. So yung comma is at the most of the line, no? So the comma there should be with inverted V. And the apostrophe should be the V sign. So be very careful in identifying how to write the caret sign. Okay. The next symbol is the hyphen. So hyphen is shorter than the dash, di ba? Kung minsan lumalabas kasi ito sa mga national competitions. So you have to be very careful din kung paano ninyo ilagay yung symbol ng dash and hyphen when you are inserting the dash and the hyphen. So kung hyphen ang ginamit mo, parang equal sign yung isusulat mo na symbol. Whereas sa dash, dalawang poste, but longer yung line. So careful, ano? I opened the door and there she stood. Dash yung ilalagay mo. No? My long lost sister. Yan. So parang that sana yan kung minsan depende kasi sa writer kung anong choice niya. Is it the dash or is it the that? Pero kung ginamit mo yung dash, hindi naman pwedeng hyphen lang kasi hindi mo naman hina-hyphenate yung stood my, diba? So ganun ang pagkasulat. It should be a dash. And then the other symbol, which is the equal sign, hyphen yun. When you are inserting the hyphen, which is one line, every word is supposed to be hyphenated, diba? So ang ilalagay ng symbol ay equal sign. Okay, so that should be very clear to us, mga dear teachers and students in their art, student writers. Okay, now, because copy reading, copy editing, and headline writing is one, there are two things that we have to consider when we are in the category of copy editing and headline writing. So part of the category is to write your headline. So hindi pwedeng ang contestant natin ay hindi mag-headline. So what's the headline? It's actually the title. Title ang tawag natin when it is a feature or editorial. But because we have to refer din to news writing, ang tawag talaga dyan ay headline. So, if we make the headline, we have to write the headline. Okay? So, that should be very clear. But it is also important to remind our contestants and even our advisors that this category always requires copy editing or copy reading and headline writing. So, two things they have to do. Buti nga, tinanggal na yata yung instruction to the printer. No? We do not know. Kasi recently, they have removed the trabaho na magkaroon ng printer's direction. But they will get to know kung sa national, they will require the printer's direction. But at the moment, dahil if we have to reckon with the previous years, the recent years, na wala ng printer's direction, we focus on copy editing or copy reading and headline writing lang. No? So headline writing is the process of crafting concise, attention-grabbing titles for articles, news reports, blog posts, or other written content. The headline serves to attract readers while summarizing the content in a way that entices them to continue reading. So it's very important that our news stories should have headline. Hindi naman pwedeng walang headline kasi ang dami-daming functions ng headline. So it should be part of this category of copy editing and headline writing. Okay. So much on that meaning, or if only to tell us, everyone, kung ano ang headline writing. Now, let's proceed on with what are the functions of headlines, no? So why do we have to put headline in our news story? Marami. At least, at dito na na-mention, ano? The first one is to attract attention. We have to bear in mind that in a newspaper, there are a lot of news stories, no? So, kailangan i-grab mo din yung attention ng reader kung ano yung unahin niyang basahin. So, the tendency for the writer of the news story is to make a very good headline so that it can attract the reader's attention. So, a strong headline pulls readers in, making them want to read. So, program ko nga yung headline. Eh, pag nakita, maganda yung headline, aba, maganda to basahin ko nga. So, you have the interest of the reader to read the story, the entire story. And then, it also summarizes the content, no? Because readers do not have the luxury of time. So, by reading the headline alone, they will have an idea of what the story is all about already. So, you shall have saved their time reading the entire story na. Parang tayo naman kung minsan, when we see a newspaper at nakita natin yung headline, para alam na natin yung content, di ba? By merely reading the headline. So, it summarizes the content. And later on, when we will have the time to read the entire story, we will go back to the newspaper and read. Pero at the moment, kasi we might be hurrying up, no? And it's important that we know a lot of things para pagdating mo sa grupo ng mga teachers, grupo ng mga friends mo, may pinag-uusapan tapos ikaw hindi mo alam kasi hindi mo nabasa yung newspaper. So it gives the idea na, hello, saan ka ba galing? Hindi mo alam yung storyang yan. But if you read the headline, kahit pa paano meron ka namang i-contribute sa discussion. So it's very important that the headline is read, no? Especially if it's written well, para sa ganun ay may idea din. Meron din konting alam ka. When you meet your friends, meet your students, dahil may nabasa ka. Something like that. And then, the headline also sets expectations. The headline gives the readers a sense of what they'll gain or learn from the article. So merely reading the headline, you will already have an idea of what the story is all about, di ba? Parang naka-ano ka na, lalo na kung you have continuously been reading, no, stories in the newspapers, meron ka ng idea what the story is all about, no? And lalo na kung it's a follow-through or it's a latest version of the story, and you would know, no, already dahil meron kang nabasa kahit paano doon sa headline. And then the next one is drive engagement. What does it mean, no? In the digital world, a well-crafted headline boasts click-through rates and shares on social media. So, sa ating we are now living in a technological world, digital world, that parang gine-gauge lahat by way of how many likes or how many reads ang nangyari sa istorya mo. So, yung pagkakaroon ng headline lang would already be a basis for the writer or the publication to know what were the stories that was read most. Oh, yun yung isang reason for the headline read. So, dami-dami, no? As we advance in technology, yan din yung mga advancements ng kung ano yung mga gamit ng bawat trabaho na ginagawa natin. Okay. Now, we proceed with types of headlines. No? I-discuss din natin, ano? What are the types of headlines? No? The first is news headline. It directly states the facts. No more nor less. Yun na yung what you see is what you get. Parang ganun. No? So if the example is wildfire ravages 10,000 acres in Cagayan or hectares or whatever. Acres kasi sa atin ay it's hindi siya normal na ginagamit. What we use here is hectares or hectarage. Pero as you read the headline, it already tells us, no, what is it in the news story. So wildfire, no? Nanira ang ilang hektarya sa Cagayan. Gaya sa nangyari sa California, no? Not only are the buildings ravaged, but also the lives of people, no? And then feature headline. Meron din mga feature headline, no? More creative, engaging, or thematic itong feature headline natin. But sometimes you would say, bakit ka naman mag-e-exage sa feature headline? Because it's feature, no? It's a feature headline because the stories can be news feature, no? Or feature itself na pwede mong gamitin itong headline na to. Inside the minds of the world's best innovators. So that's the feature headline. What are in the minds of the best innovators? We might be, our interest might have been caught. Who would not like to be an innovator? So we will read, di ba? Itong it catches the reader's attention. And then opinion headline. More often than not, this is used in the opinion or in the editorial or column materials, no? It reflects personal or editorial viewpoints. Example, why we need urgent action on climate change. Sino bang hindi maengganyo na basahin ito, especially now that we are suffering from so much of the effects of climate change. Ngayon nga lang parang nanginginig na tayo sa lamig. When we are not used to having a very cold climate in Cagayan and in the Philippines. So, basahin natin, bakit kailangan nating magkaroon ng urgent action? Because we have to improve on the situation. Kasi ang climate change natin is bringing about so much disasters. Especially sa malalakas na bagyo, yung paulan-ulan na continuous, na akala mo wala nang katapusan yung pag-uulan, o kaya yung init natin, no? After this cold season, we do not know what will happen. Gaano naman ngayon katindi yung ating init, no? Come summertime. So we have to do action. Who would not be interested in reading the editorial or the opinion material? Whether it's a column or an editorial. Para sa ganun ay we can also contribute our share in improving our climate. You can maibalik pa ba natin yung climate natin, no? Na pronounce ang seasons natin. When it's summer, it's summer. When it's rainy season, rainy season. Ngayon hindi na We're having typhoons even at summertime. We're having very warm weather during rainy season and so on. Tayo ay lokang-loka na sa ating environment, sa ating climate. And we have to do something. We have to take urgent action if we want to save Mother Earth. Okay? And then, the next headline, type of headline is question headline. It provokes curiosity. Nagtatanong ka no?
Mama, yung pamilya ko.
Sasabihin, ba't mo ako tinatanong? But your attention will already be caught. So, basahin mo, no? Because it's provoking curiosity. I have to read this, no? I have to know this. Bakit ito, no? Is artificial intelligence really taking over the world? Who would not be provoked in reading this kind of story? Pagka mamaya wala nang silbi ang tao, o kaya kahit konting tao na lang ang meron sa mundo, because we can rely on an artificial intelligence. we rely on machines, no, to take over what humans can do or will do. Medyo magkakaroon na tayo ng panic dito, no? Kasi baka mamaya imbes na dadami ang employment natin ng mga tao, they will employ artificial intelligence. They can come up with mechanisms sa machine to take over what humans can do. So, if that is the case, we have to come up with some remedies na magiging useful pa rin ang human beings. And so we read the story. No? And no, what can humans do aside from the machines taking over the artificial intelligence and so on? There are a lot of things that we have to be abreast about. Ako nga sabi ko, ano po pagsilbi natin ngayon? No? Parang nakakatakot ang future. Ang dami-daming pagbabago. Time was when nagkaroon tayo ng culture shock sa introduction pa lang ng computer noon. I remember an office mate din sa Department of Public Information pa lang noon, itong mga PIA, Radyo ng Bayan, PTV4, and so on, na DPI lang noon. Ang dami naming mga old office mates noon na nag-retire simply because of culture shock. Hindi nila ma-take yung challenges ng computer. So, with all of these things coming in, ano pa ba ang future? Ano pa ba ang meron? So that we have to be abreast. We have to instruct our young ones to continue reading, to continue to be engaging in what there are being developed by technology. Huwag natin silang hayaan na makontento. Kasi mamaya, balang araw they become irrelevant. Of course, ang mga kabataan ngayon, kahit na yung 1-year-old marunong nang gumamit ng cellphone. But that's not true to all. Because our circumstances would differ. May mayaman, may mga techie ang inclination, and so on. Yung mga iba naman, walang kuryente, walang source of signal or whatever. But nonetheless, all of these things should not be a hindrance to our enthusiasm to learn more of technology, because that's the call of the times. So technology has taken over our lives these days. Okay, let's proceed to the next. Yung other types of headlines, no? How to headline. Ito naman ay kung there are things that you want our readers to know, no? Yung mga how-tos natin. How to bake papaya or whatever. Yung mga ways of doing things can also be part of that which we have to put headlines na catchy. So how to save money on your monthly bills. Sinong ayaw magbasa nito, no? Except when you have to engage sa mga illegal things, like pag-jumper ka, para sa ganun ay kumunti yung electric consumption mo and so on. That's not sailor to action. More often than not, this is for editorial or today. So, yung 5 to 10 words, especially if you are limited with the space, no? Yung ating headlines ay may directions. How many columns, how many decks, no? So we have to be very careful. They should deliver the key points succinctly. What is it that the story tells us, so that your headline will be concise, so that your headline will be clear, no? Yung clarity. And then, relevant. No? Ensure that the headline accurately reflects the content. It should not be misleading or clickbait. Parang ginoyo mo lang yung reader mo. Hindi naman pala yung nabasa niya sa istorya. Simple. Because of the relevance of your headline or your title. Pag ganun ang ginawa mo, maiinis yung reader. Do not bait your reader into assuming that what he or she will read is based on what he or she is having as impression sa headline or title. Okay? Okay. And then, the headline should be engaging. Nasabi natin kanina to. The headline should be compelling and provoke an emotional response, such as curiosity, excitement, or urgency. When you read the headline and they get curious about it, then the tendency is for them to read. Diba? Curious sila Naging curious because of your headline. Or they get excited merely reading the headline. Excited, malaman kung ano yung meron dito sa istorya na to. And then, it could also be urgency. The immediacy of your having to read the story. Dahil dun sa headline mo lang, na-achieve mo yung feeling na urgent. Dapat basahin kaagad ng reader yung storya. And then, the keyword usage. For online content, ito na yung mga latest natin sa copy editing and headline writing natin. On headline content, we have to be relevant, di ba? We have to be attuned with times. Headlines should include relevant keywords for search engine optimism or SEO purposes, ensuring the content is discoverable. Di ba, ang ating mga online publications ngayon, i-click mo kung saan yung topic na to. Kung wala kang ganyan, yung keyword usage na yan, hindi nila mahanap yung istorya mo. So, for discoverability, you have to be using keywords, no, for the search engine optimization. Ganun ang nangyayari ngayon. If you want to do some research works, hanapin mo yung keywords, di ba? Yung mga techie, yung mga kabataan ngayon, they know this. They know when to use the keywords because they don't have to scan through all the materials kasi it will take them a lifetime. And so there's a need for us for keywords in our head. But at this point in time, we have yet to hear from the DepEd or those who are organizing journalism or press conferences like this. Kung ano yung gagawin nila dito sa keyword naman, how will they infuse this in the competition? Yung keywords, para sa ganun ay, although it's easy to find the keyword, no? But it has to be based on guidelines pa rin ng DepEd and the organizers of the press conferences. Okay? Headline writing techniques. Use strong verbs. It's very imperative dahil verbs would command action. Verbs give headline, energy, and action. So lawmakers fight over budget bill. Diba, recently, we've been saddled with so many issues on our budget. And there's the danger of having a reenacted budget. Dahil, sabi nila, unconstitutional daw yung National Expenditure Program o yung GAA, General Appropriations Act. Pag ganun ang nangyari, what will happen? The budget of last year will still be the budget for this year. Hindi pwede ganun. Dahil dumadami ang need natin for budget this year. Given the so many challenges, no? Yung andyan yung rising cost of fuel, yung hindi maibaba-baba ang presyo ng price, o kaya yung ating need for more health services. Kung pareho yung budget mo last year, what will happen to those who are in need of more money to spend for this year if this budget becomes null and void or unconstitutional? So naging issue yun. Hopefully it's not a reenacted budget this time. And then incorporates numbers. Numbers add specificity, and catch the eye. 5 ways to boost your productivity. Quiet you and encourage to read because you want to improve your productivity. Who would not like to be very productive this day? No? Lahat ng tao ay nangangailangan ng additional income. So, we will read, di ba? Dahil it's telling us that we can boost our productivity. Kung pwede nga, wala nang tulugan eh. Magtrabaho na lang. But what will happen if that is the case? Magkakasakit din naman tayo. So, but we have to balance. But at any rate, we have to boost our productivity. Hindi na pwede yung paupo-upo ka lang, maghihintay kung anong grasya. No more. Every one of us have to engage in production. Whatever it is na production, agricultural, technological, intellectual, productivity, and so on. And then appeal to emotions. No? How do we write a headline that will appeal to emotion? Use emotionally charged words or ideas to grab attention. Like heartbreaking stories from the flood victims. Diba? Ang dami-daming istorya, diba? Ang dami-daming pwede nating pagkuhanan, paghugutan ng lakas ng loob as a result of your being victimized after a flooding or during the rainy season or whatever. So,
ituloy mo dyan malayo.
appeal to emotion is part of our duty as writing the headlines of our stories.
Antayon.
And then ask questions, no? Our headlines can also be asking questions, no? Question piques curiosity. What happens if we don't act on global warming now? O ano nga ba? Di mamamatay tayong lahat because we're not acting. Parang, ano nga we can already predict the future. The trend of our environmental condition, yung global warming. Parang hindi natin maiwasan malaking kalamidad. Hindi naman natin nag-doomsayer, no? Hindi naman ako. But that is fear. Kung tayo talagang ngayon lang, hindi na natin yung cold of together. Lalo na pag umaga, kahit ilang kumot ang gamitin mo, kahit pa mag-heater ka, ganun pa rin. But the use of heater will also include to the destruction of the ozone layer, di ba? Kasi machine pa rin yan eh. We will add some more to the destruction of the ozone layer. And then, another technique is use alliteration or wordplay. This makes headlines catchy and memorable. But again, this type of technique is for features or for editorial. Kasi magiging sensational tayo if we use this alliteration sa news stories. The news stories are to be straight news lang, no? Walang opinions. Fearless firefighters facing the future of climate change. Climate change dahil baka mamaya puro sunog-sunog na lang ang nangyayari. Okay. The next, common mistakes in headline writing. Being too vague. No? Our tendency is